Hello and welcome to a special edition of View from the Bridge podcast. Something a little bit different for you today. We're joined by new Warwickshire all-rounder Jordan Thompson. Jordan, how are you doing?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Joel. It's good to be here. Good to have a chat.
No, really excited to have you on. We're looking to obviously do a lot on the county game at the minute. And one of the things that's always really interested is the transfer system and how it works. Now, you've written a piece for the PCA, which I'll include in the episode notes for this, about how you moved from Yorkshire to Warwickshire, and I just found it really interesting. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that, because I mean, from the sounds of it, it's very much from June the 1st, a bit of a, like in football, from January the 1st, you can get contacted by clubs. Here is kind of a June the 1st window opens, doesn't it, for clubs to get in touch?
Yeah, obviously, similarities in terms of kind of the free agent system, I guess, in football with. Obviously, in cricket, you don't really get any transfer fees or things like that. It's very much people moving clubs when they're at the end of the contract. So, June the 1st is obviously a big deadline. Well, I say a deadline, the start of an opening of a deadline, I guess, where clubs can speak to those that are out of contract at the end of the county season. So, yeah, I think there's obviously a list that goes out prior to the end of June, and maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month before, just so people are alerted to the players that are becoming available. And obviously my name was on there last season, so it was an interesting time really for me, being a Yorkshire cricketer from 9 years old and playing all the way through the age groups and the academy, to then be in a situation where I was potentially going to be leaving, which was surprising for me. I think surprising for a lot of people that I've spoken to as well around the country. County cricketers who I've played with previously were messaging saying, "Geez, I'm pretty surprised that you've left Yorkshire, and what's the situation and all this kind of stuff." And look, it's the obvious professional sport, and things can change pretty quickly. And I've said it many times before that the start of the season, if you'd have said to me that I was leaving Yorkshire, I'd have probably looked at you in a funny way and probably not believed you. But here I am now, in a month away from the start of the season, sat in Birmingham and getting ready to go on pre-season with Warwickshire. So it's been a year of change.
Interesting. I didn't realise they actually circle a list out, so effectively every county can see who might be available then, so it's from the following year.
Yeah, I think it's very much a list of, you could look at that list and go down the teams and it'll say so-and-so, and you go, nah, they're going to stay, they're going to sign. It's obvious they're going to sign. And then you've got probably a list of people where you go, oh, that's potentially, whether that's somebody from playing Div 2 who's done really well and they're looking to get a Division 1 move most of the time. I think there was, like last year we were speaking, or maybe 2 years ago, there was people coming towards June and you're looking at Jamie Porter and Sam Cook on the Essex list out of contract, but you realistically you're looking and going, well, they're not going to leave. It's not, they're enjoying it down there. Obviously they play every week in, week out, so they're the unrealistic ones, whereas a few pop up and you go, well, they're probably looking to get a move. And obviously then the clubs start to try and build the squads around those players. So obviously you're not supposed to, you're not really allowed to talk to those players before June 1st. So I think it's very much like as soon as it turns to June 1st, 9 a.m, 10 a.m, there's a call to the agents or to the player directly saying, right, we're interested. Can we put something in front of you? But before that, I don't think it's really allowed to be. You're not allowed to speak to those players that are still under contract.
Do you think there is a bit of a nudge, though, to some of them, just to say, look, if we put an inquiry in, would you be interested? I mean, did that happen with you? You don't have to name names, but did anyone else sort of message you and go, would be interested in having a chat?
I think naturally it does now, just with the amount of the kind of time you kind of spend with even playing with lads from other teams, whether it be in franchise stuff, you get to know people, and I think messages go around from player to player saying, "Oh, are you interested in coming?" Like this, and obviously just informally. But yeah, nothing official until that June 1st, where Warwickshire made their move pretty quickly on June the 1st at 10 a.m. There was an email came through, and I kind of quickly realised that they were interested in something could be about to happen.
So what I find interesting from your blog piece, and I really recommend people having a read of this, was Warwickshire basically emailed you straight away June the 1st, didn't they? And didn't just email say you're interested. They'd obviously done their research, and they kind of sold you like this is where you fit in, this is our vision, made you feel really wanted, didn't they? Like it wasn't just do you fancy coming to play for us?
Yeah, That's that exactly. I think that's one of the main kind of the most important things. I think in trying to sign somebody is actually making them feel valued, and showing them their worth. And that's exactly what Warwickshire did. They put together a package of a PDF PowerPoint package of me as a player, what they saw in me, how that can help their team, what they see the club progressing to do in the next few years, and how I can be a part of it. So straight away you're reading that and you're going, geez, you've got something here where somebody believes in you, and they really want to make an effort to try and get you there. And I think that's what you want to feel wanted. Anybody in any walk of life wants to feel wanted, and I think in professional sport, it's obviously one of the most important things. And that just made that transition so easy, really. And like I said before, you kind of play with a lot of players now around the world, and you get to know them. So walking into that dressing room was a pretty smooth transition, really, and knowing people there already, and just getting stuck in.
Yeah, quite interested there. So, do they sort of go, these are the areas you bowl, and this is the wicket we'll have at Edgbaston, and we think you'll fit in here? Is it like that granular, or is it just we're looking for an all rounder and we think you'll fit in? Like, how detailed do they go in these sort of information?
Yeah, it's tricky. Obviously, I can't go to them and say the kind of pitch that I want to play. If you sign me, I need to be bowling on a green seamer week in, week out. But it's more the kind of the position and the role that I play in 4-day cricket, and obviously the role in T20 cricket as well. And they see that there's obviously no hiding that they've not qualified. They've lost in 4 quarterfinals in a row, and hopefully I can be that missing piece to try and get us over the line and get us to finals day. So, look, obviously the T20 team is very, very strong, and hopefully I can add to that. And then with the 4-day stuff, we've got some lads that are there, mix of new lads and some young lads coming through. So you're looking at our team this year, and we're very strong. Obviously Works is coming back, and we'll play probably 3/4 of the games. You got Keith Barker coming back from Hampshire with experience, and I think that's what they wanted to bring in, a bit of experience and a bit of nous about how to win games and help the younger lads.
Yeah, I mean, so Warwickshire, as you say, haven't probably had the best of times recently. Let's say in the championship, especially. I guess, are you quite excited? And how much of it was, when you weighing up your decision, was a financial aspect? How much of it was a trophy winning? Because I know you put in your piece, obviously, this might be your last sort of big county contract. How much sort of sway did the trophies compared to the financial package sort of come into it, I suppose?
Yeah, look, there's no hiding from the fact that Yorkshire, we've not had much success. It's been a tough 7-8 years for us, really. We've had a lot of transition, a lot of changing of coaches. We had the COVID, we had the situation with the racism scandal, and everything kind of unravelled, and it just seemed like year after year after year there was something new, and you could never settle. Obviously getting relegated in 2022, and then we tried to get back up in 23, but we had a points deduction, and then we eventually got up in 24. As expected, really. I think we had a good young team. We played some good cricket, and obviously we got up in second place behind Sussex. But we needed to get back into Division 1, and there was sparks last year of good cricket. But I was kind of getting to the stage there where, look, like I've said before, there's no doubting that I would have stayed at Yorkshire and tried to play the rest of my career at Yorkshire had that been the opportunity. But the more that I've kind of thought about it, and being at Warwickshire now, is that I'm hoping we've got a better chance of winning trophies, especially in the white ball as well. Look, Yorkshire, we managed to stay up last year. It's not by the skin of our teeth, but obviously a couple of decent wins towards the end of the season. But the T20 has been a problem for a few years, and we got to finals day in 2022, but that's been the only real success. They've come in close to winning it, and that was with a pretty inexperienced team, and luck was on our side, really. So I think that was a massive thing for me, was looking at the Warwickshire team and going, look, they're a team who know where they're going, they're established, and the signings that we made to bring in and strengthen the squad in both white ball and red ball cricket was appealing to me. So I think the opportunity to come here and try and win trophies was pretty big.
Yeah. Well, third game of the season, at least from North's perspective, is Warwickshire at home. What do you sort of make of the championship? Who you think are going to be strong this year, and how impressed were you when you came up against Notts last year? Because they were strong against Yorkshire in both matches, weren't they?
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't play down at Trent Bridge. I know it was obviously a flat pitch down there. Obviously, Beanie got double 100. But at Headingley, we tried to change the pitches to make sure that there was going to be results, and we found ourselves on the wrong side a few times, and Notts with their bowling attack they had it blew us away, but they just kept the pressure on us, and it was something that we really struggled to do throughout the season, was bowl teams out and make sure we put ourselves in winning positions. So Notts were a strong team, and you could just tell they were obviously very together. They've built that squad over a number of years now, and they know exactly what they're doing and how they want to play the cricket. So they're going to be a tough team again this year. It's a tough Division 1. Look, you're looking at it, as I was just saying then about Yorkshire staying up last year, but I think it was only about 15, 20 points between third place and the third bottom place. So it becomes so tight through that middle. So starting well and getting out the blocks well is quite important, and hopefully we can do that this year. We've got Surrey at home first game, like you say, Notts at home, Notts away third game. So you've got some tough games early doors, but they're tough all the way through, and you can't look at it and go, oh yeah, we've got an easy run, because it's such obviously a tight division and a small division that you're playing good teams week in, week out.
Yeah, well, if it gives you any encouragement, so not the year before they won, where only just survived, I think, sort of final game of the year or penultimate. So teams can go from sort of lower reaches to the top quite quickly. So, and as you said, Chris Woakes there, Keith Barker there. I mean, that's a formidable side. I mean, are you confident you'll get in? I mean, it sounds like it's going to be good competition for places.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Naturally, I think obviously it just depends on the way we want to set up. Because you look at our bowling attack and you can go really strong in terms of the batting as well. You can go, if me, Barks and Works all playing the same team, you're batting all the way down to 10-11 pretty much. So I'm sure we have to obviously have a look at the setup, and it might be a case of me, Barks and Works rotating and two of us play every game, in terms of keeping two kind of genuine all-rounders in there and making sure we bat down to 9-10. And I think it's quite an important thing, to be honest. I think Surrey have done it for years, making sure that you have a long lineup. And look, we know how hard it is in county championship cricket if you only bat till 7-8 with the early season, if it's nipping around and you find yourself 2 or 3 down early. The value of having batters down the order and being able to score runs is massive, and get you out and win games as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most underestimated thing about championship winning sides. I mean, again, talking about Notts last year, they had Lyndon James, Liam Patterson-White coming in 7 and 8. Brett Hudson was scoring runs. Josh Tongue, when he was there, got some runs.
Yeah.
Fergus O'Neill. Those were crucial. The year before, that wasn't really happening as much. So absolutely. And looking at your side, I mean, I just put up the Warwickshire squad on my screen here. I mean, the amount of options you've got. I mean, Rushworth, Hannon Dolby, again, with the ball, Ethan Bamber. I mean, some serious amount of good county bowlers there. And Ed Barnard as well, another one, all rounder. And who knows, you might even get a bit of Jacob Bethel as well, possibly at the odd game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You got Beth to come back potentially if we're going to see him, but you've also got Bo Webster as well, who can bowl seamers if you need him to. So you've got we could be going into games with 8 bowling options. And obviously it's not a bad thing as long as you're covered in both areas in terms of a long batting lineup and the options with the ball as well. So I think we're going in with a strong squad and the chance to be able to rotate and make sure people are resting up and not going into games fatigued. So I think that's the most important thing if you're going to win a championship.
And I think Sam Haynes' most underestimated cricketer sort of in the county game. I mean, Howie's not played more. I know he's played, I think, 1 or 2 matches for England, but I mean, he has a thing against Notts. I think at one point he was averaging 400 in the blast against Notts. Always scores runs against us. So, I mean, if he must have bowled against him. I mean, how good is he, do you think?
Yeah, he had a lot of success against Yorkshire as well. He was tricky in T20 cricket. He just seemed to score runs for fun. And the thing is with Haney, he's not the kind of person who comes out and he blasts you to all parts. He accumulates and he hits you in strange areas. And you look up the scoreboard and he's 40 off 20 and then he's 50 off 25 and then he got a 98 not out against us at Headingley once. And I remember it just didn't feel like he should have scored that amount of runs, but he just accumulated. But You look up at the scoreboard and he's got 98 not out of 40 odd balls, and he can do that to teams and break them down. So hopefully he can do that this year for us in both formats as well.
And as someone who's played across both divisions, there's a lot of talk about the county game and how it fits in with England. Well, what are your thoughts and the thoughts around sort of the county scene in terms of how county cricket is viewed by the sort of England hierarchy? Do you think it's disregarded? And do you find it frustrating that maybe certain players just don't fit in despite performing consistently?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no secret. I think the county game, how you speak to lads in the county game, and the way that some people have, I say not been treated, but some people have kind of been ignored in terms of performance. And then you look at people who have been picked, and you go, it's not really right, is it? In terms of, I always put it in the perspective of if you've got a goal scorer in Premier League football who's scoring 25 goals in a season, and he's 5'8", good on the ball, obviously a little bit nifty in and out of the defence, and he scores goals, as opposed to a 6'9" striker who scores 2 goals in a season, and you go and pick the 6'9" striker in a season because he's big and he's got a tall advantage and things like that. It just doesn't make sense, does it? In my opinion, and it's the same. It's the exact same in cricket. You've got some lads who are 6'5" and can bowl with pace, but they're taking 5 wickets in a season, as opposed to a lad taking 45 wickets in a season. It's just not right. And I think it's obviously a lot of people have spoken about it in the past and agree as well.
So I looked at your now former teammate George Hill and how well he performed last year for Yorkshire. I mean, who would you kind of pinpoint as maybe some players who possibly deserve to get a go with England, Test or limited overs?
It's hard to say in terms of like playing Test cricket, and they should be playing Test cricket. I think Potsy is a consistent performer in Test cricket. I think that he probably should. Obviously, he struggled in Sydney in the Ashes, but anybody can struggle over there. But I think somebody who consistently bowls decent pace and runs in all day has probably not played as much as he should have done. And then if you're looking at Lions trips, for example, George Hill, you just mentioned there, how he's not getting picked on a Lions trip there when he's taken 50 odd wickets. And they talk about this release point stuff and all that kind of technical stuff, but Hilly's release point is a different release point. He releases from kind of nearly behind his head and gets the angle and still swings it away. So if you're talking about release point, then he's a prime candidate. And to take 50 odd wickets in a season and stay fit and consistently take wickets and perform for Yorkshire, to not even be rewarded with a selection on a Lions trip was a bit baffling, to be honest. Especially when he can bat as well. Probably not scored as many runs as he would like in recent seasons, but it's something where he's only 25, 26, and he's obviously had the responsibility of being the frontline bowler for Yorkshire last year, and it probably his batting took a little bit of a toll, but I'm pretty sure he'll get back to his best in the future.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to, we obviously talked about the transfer system a little bit. I think one of the concerns is there being sort of a divide, the Test and 100 hosting grounds and those, obviously who aren't. Is that a concern? And also, is it a thing where, maybe getting the counties and the 100 sides sort of working together with regards to contracts with players? I know there was talk of that with, I think the Big Bash as well, that sort of thing where people are moving because they're being offered, deals with both. Is that an issue at the minute, do you think, in the game? Could that sort of something that gets worse over time, possibly?
It's tough because naturally your smaller clubs in Division 2 they're naturally going to, without the 100, they're naturally going to lose the best players to the bigger teams in Division 1. It's just the way it works in professional sport everywhere, football, rugby, things like that. So you're gonna lose your best players. I think it'll start to happen now, more so with the takeovers from the Indian teams and more so in franchise cricket. I know that James Cole's obviously playing at Southern Brave recently, and then GMR have come in there. So Coles is going to be one of those players that I think 17 counties are going to be sniffing around this year with Sussex financial problems. I think that he'll be well sought after. And I think in the 100 auction next week, he'll be looking at his bank account pretty quickly into that auction. So I think teams obviously are going to try and use that pull of the Indian owners to get them in franchise cricket around the world through the winter, and then obviously then playing for the counties during the summer and the 100 team as well. So I think more so now, I think it'll happen. I don't think it's happened as much in recent years as people probably think it has, just through. I don't think there's been any power to try and give them a guaranteed contract, because the way draft works, you can't guarantee that somebody will get picked in a certain slot because it might not work out and somebody else might take them anyway. But I think with the franchise stuff around the world, I think that the links now will start to kind of open up, and people will end up at the same teams.
And you're on the franchise scene quite a lot now. How are you finding it, and how does it compare to sort of being part of a county?
Oh yeah, look, I've been with Mumbai now for 4 years, and look, it's obviously very different in terms of you're there for a month, but you kind of you get to know people pretty quickly, and you see the same faces in terms of players that sign for in the ILT, for example, and obviously the coaching staff and things like that. So it's nice to go there and know people, and they know you and how you go about things. So it's obviously different to spending 9-10 months a year with your teammates and things like that, but you're there to kind of do a job and try and win a competition, and that's everybody's pulling in the same direction. So it's always fun to go away and play in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for a month instead of being in the indoor centre, whether it be at Warwickshire or at Yorkshire, as it has been in the recent years. So it's something that I'm lucky to do, and hopefully it continues in the future.
I was going to say, is that something maybe, can you see yourself maybe at some point becoming a white ball only player? I guess the money is probably a lot better than your county contract.
Yeah, it's tough because look, I've still got ambitions to play for England, and I think for me, I want to play. That's going to be, if anything, it'll be T20 cricket. So it's making sure that I feel like red ball benefits me a lot. It keeps my basics strong. And I love playing red ball cricket. There's nothing more rewarding than winning a red ball match. I think in terms of going out there for 4 days and playing for your teammates and being rewarded with a win on the last day, things like that. Look, T20 cricket turns so quickly, and you can go out there and I can smack 50 odd off 20 balls, and then I can bowl and go for 50 off 4 overs, and the game just turned on its head in an hour. So I think the reward of winning red ball games is so good that now I'll keep playing red ball cricket until I've had enough. Really, I think it's something that I don't see myself getting to the end of this contract at Warwickshire and going, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to play white ball, because I think it's also a risk as well. If I have a couple of average years where I don't find myself on the franchise circuit, and you're trying to pick your money up elsewhere, it can be very tough. So red ball cricket I really enjoy, and I'll continue to do that alongside my T20 until I'm bored of it, I guess.
Yeah, and of all the places you've played on the board, and what's sort of been the one you've enjoyed the most? I mean, you played in Australia as well, haven't you? If I'm correct.
Yeah. The Big Bash was fun. It was my first overseas tournament back in 21-22, but it was hit by COVID quite a lot. They were still battling with COVID in Australia. They were very strict with it. So there wasn't much kind of going out and about and seeing things, and the schedule was very tight. We played Perth, I think, twice in 3 days in Hobart, because we couldn't go to Perth to play there. The last 2 weeks, we had every team ended up in Melbourne, so we played Adelaide Strikers at the MCG and things like that. So you didn't really get the full experience, and the crowds were down quite a lot as well. But the standard of cricket is obviously very good. It's different in terms of kind of conditions and the layout of the pitch, in terms of being long straight and short square, or long square and short straight. You don't really get much variation in comparison to playing in England, where it might be a really small corner and a big corner at the other side, or it kind of very much dictates the playing area that very much dictates the tactics that you go with to try and obviously take wickets or score runs. So it was good fun. I think Pakistan was a good one. PSL is obviously a very good competition. The talent there's it speaks for itself. They've got so many players and so many good young players coming through. It's a tough competition to play in. But I still think the 100's up there. I think the 100's been a bit of a revelation, really, and the quality of the cricket and the fast-paced kind of entertainment style cricket that it is. It's obviously a very high standard as well. So I really enjoy playing in the 100 in front of some big crowds.
Yeah. How do you feel about the 100 as a competition? Not maybe about the standard, but the way it impacts on the county game. Do you? I guess if you're part of it, it's probably very appealing. But do you feel it's when you see the 50 over competition downgraded, championship matches more on the fringes, September becoming a mad rush, international matches squeezed in. Do you feel like the compromise is worth it for what it's producing and the money it's brought into the game?
It's tough to say, and it's an interesting one because 50 over cricket has never really been the forefront of my mind because I've played one game in my career and then it got rained off. So I played the first one day game I played was in 2018, and then the year after 2019 we had a strong squad at Yorkshire, and then it was COVID, and ever since COVID I've played in the 100. So the 50 over competition is, for me, I wouldn't, if I don't play in it, it doesn't really bother me too much because it's not my favourite format. To be honest with you, I wouldn't know how to kind of approach it tactically because I've just not played it in that long. And look, if you talk about saying that 50 over cricket is not important anymore, obviously it's still important, but you can kind of tell it's taken a back seat in terms of the 100 taking over and the 50 over World Cups and things like that. The performances recently haven't been great, so I think obviously we've got to try and fit it in and make everything work. But at the moment, it's the only way that it can work, unless you try and reduce Championship cricket, which I'd be against because like I just said, that I enjoy Championship cricket and I think it's important. And obviously the blast has been reduced itself this year anyway, so it's obviously a tough schedule to manage. And I think at the moment they've probably got it about right.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, and one thing I obviously wanted to touch on, sort of away from the cricket. Your journalism and your campaigning around diabetes. So interestingly, you're looking at doing, you've done a freelance journalism diploma. You're in the Cricketer coming up. You've been in Wisden as well. Yeah, talk to us a little about that and sort of your role in terms of how diabetes affects you as well, and your sort of campaigning on that as well.
Yeah. So the journalism is something that came around. It came around when I was about to go to university, actually. So I was only on the academy at Yorkshire when I went to university, and I was going to go to Cardiff University and do sports journalism. But I took the decision that it was probably wise for me to stay local and go to university at Leeds and just stay around Yorkshire to make sure I'm in the eye of the coaches and try and impress there. So I did that. But the journalism has always been something that I've been quite interested in. So as any kind of professional cricketer should be doing, really, is try to find something that they enjoy doing and would look to do after they stop playing cricket. So last year I started a diploma in freelance journalism, which I finished. It was it could have been 12 months, but you can move it to 6 months, you can move it to 3 months. It was very much at your own discretion. So I finished it in 6 months. Past that, and then this winter's been a bit of a kind of go out there and speak to people and see who you can kind of get advice off. And I came across Mark Dexter, who used to work at Sky Sports. He lives up in Leeds. Met him for a coffee, and he said, "I think you should go on to the NCTJ, to do another course, a bit more of an advanced course." So that's something that's in the pipeline now that I've been thinking of. Like I just said, it's a bit longer, so it's probably not the right time to start it now. But I think come the end of the season and through the winter, I'll look to develop my skills there, and that would be just a bit more of a baseline in terms of general journalism, law, kind of the baseline of everything in terms of not just pigeonhole myself down the sports route, because like anybody else playing sport probably wants to go down that route as well, whether that's coaching or broadcast or things like that. So I think it's just making sure that I get those skills and obviously writing for the Cricketer and being in Wisden and things like that are just a bit of a foot in the door thing to help me develop my skills and build a bit of a portfolio for the future, just so I can show kind of future employees that I've worked through my cricket career and done what I can to develop my skills. So It's something I enjoy. And then, like you just said, then I wrote an article that will be in the April issue of the Cricketer about my diabetes and actually James Cole's, who's also diabetic, and how we played at the Southern Brave together, and the fact that when I was diagnosed at 16, I didn't know anybody who was type 1 diabetic, and then it just so happened that Colesy was in my team, and also Sophie Devine from New Zealand was in the women's Southern Brave team, and we had 3 type 1 diabetics in the same franchise, which is quite a thing that's pretty unheard of, really. So you kind of build a relationship with those guys naturally, just suffering from the same condition and trying to help people. So I think for me, it's just trying to inspire and be a role model for people who kind of look up to me. There's plenty of people who send me messages on social media, whether that be parents of young children who have been diagnosed, and a bit of advice or a little video to help them out and try and kind of make them a bit more comfortable. And I think it's important, just trying to campaign for the right reasons and help people believe that they can go out there and be what they want to be, whether that's a professional cricketer, a footballer, policeman, whatever they want to be. So, but when I was diagnosed, I thought that all that stuff was pretty much taken away from me because I didn't know what diabetes was. So I think it's important just to reassure people that they can go out there and do what they want to do.
Absolutely. Well, I'd encourage everyone to keep an eye out for that coming up. Look, we've taken up a good amount of your time, so I know you're getting ready for your pre-season tour. Thankfully, not in the UAE. So, and obviously, wish you the best of luck in the new season. Obviously, not against Notts, but in the rest of the campaign. But I have to see if we can get you back on again before or after the game, see how you found it. But and enjoy your time in Birmingham. It's a great city, so hopefully all goes well for you this year.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone who's listened or watched. And we'll be back again very soon with another special episode.